Good afternoon, sir. Midshipman, fourth class Prater. Um, my topic was Arleigh Burke, and so I discussed both Admiral Arleigh Burke and the Arleigh Burke class destroyers that are named after Admiral Arleigh Burke. So, Admiral Arleigh Burke was born in Boulder, Colorado on October 19th, 1901, and it just so happens that his senior year of high school was in 1918, which was when the influenza outbreak occurred. Kind of crazy that we now have coronavirus. I had coronavirus for my senior year of high school. He had the influenza outbreak in 1918, so he never fully graduated from high school, but he was still able to win a nomination to the Naval Academy. And I don't know how that works because he never graduated from high school, but he still won that nomination. And then he graduated from the Academy in 1923. And then he also earned a master's in chemical engineering from the University of Michigan while doing his time in the Navy. And after graduating from the academy, he served for 18 years on battleships and destroyers. And that is when World War II occurred after those 18 years. And at the beginning of it, he was stationed at the Naval Gun Factory in DC. He had a officer's role there. And he really did not like that. And he really pushed his superiors to try and let him serve because he really wanted to serve during the World War. He wanted to serve for his country. And he didn't want to be on shore during it. So finally, he got his way, and he was transferred to the South Pacific, and that's where he spent the rest of his time during the war. And he was very influential there. He was in charge of many squadrons, but his most famous one was Destroyer Squadron 23, known as the Little Beavers. You can see their patch right over there. And once put in charge of the squadron, he implemented his own tactics, which were different from those that had occurred in the South Pacific before. So before he came, whenever a ship would sight another ship, they would have to radio back and get permission to attack. But he gave the orders destroyers to attack on enemy contact without orders from the task force commander, meaning that they didn't have to radio back to try and figure out if they could attack. His squadron, the Little Beavers, destroyed one cruiser, 9 destroyers, and 1 submarine in the space of 4 months. That's very impressive, and Little Beavers were very strong in the South Pacific. His nickname was 31 Knot Burke. He was known to push his destroyers to their limits and go as fast as he could. So that's one thought of why he was called that. But Gene Edward Smith, the author of a biography on President Eisenhower, told another story, and what he said was there was the fleet commander was on a ship and he saw Arleigh Burke in the middle of a minefield, a Japanese minefield, and so he radioed, "What are you doing in the middle of the Japanese minefield?" And Admiral Burke radioed back 31 knots because he was trying to hightail out of there. And so that's another thought of why he got that name. After World War II, once World War II was over, he was promoted to chief of staff, and then after the war was over, he took back the title captain, and he remained a captain until 1949 when he was promoted to rear admiral. And then next in 1955, he was appointed chief of naval operations, and he served that for an unprecedented 3 terms. That normally doesn't happen. It was under Eisenhower, and 3 terms, that's 2 presidents, that's pretty crazy. And after he served those 3 terms, he was put on the retired list, and he lived out the rest of his days until he passed away in 1996, and then his wife passed away in 1997. He passed away at the age of 94. And in 1991, the Arleigh Burke class destroyers were commissioned, and he was alive for that, and that was very special to him. But he's only one of a few people. There's not many class destroyers or class ships in general that people are named after, or that are named after people. That's very special in the Navy. So Arleigh Burke class destroyers are guided missile class destroyers, and they were an upgrade from what they had previously because they previously had steel and aluminum built ships, but those were found to be more flimsy and not as strong and rigid. And so these Arleigh Burke class were built with all steel, and they were one of the first to use the Aegis combat system, and that allowed for continuous tracking. It sent out sonar all over, and rather than the 360-degree radar that was previously used, which it would have to spin and then it would ping every single time that the radar spun around in that 360 degree. So yeah, these Arleigh Burke class destroyers are described as an advanced anti-submarine warfare system, land attack cruise missiles, ship-to-ship missiles, and advanced anti-aircraft missiles. So they were very strong, and that's all I have for Admiral Arleigh Burke and the Arleigh Burke class destroyers. Thank you for your time.